How is liquid cooling classified? 1. With the explosive growth of data volume, a lot of computing power requires a lot of servers to support. It is limited by data center construction area and environmental regulations. Increasing the power density of a single cabinet becomes a way to reconcile the growing computing power. Critical solutions for demand and limited data center carrying capacity. According to data released by Colocation America, 2020 global data center single cabinet, the average power will be 16.5 Q. That's 175% more than in 2008. Seed consultants predict that with the rapid increase in data center computing power, high-power single cabinets are expected to rapidly spread by 2025. The average power of a single cabinet in a global data center is expected to reach 25,000 瓦. Large amounts of data throughput and computation make it artificial intelligence, big data and other emerging technologies brings. Data centers are facing unprecedented energy and cooling challenges. On the one hand, servers and other IT equipment are calculated. The power consumption of storage is very large. The other side is used to cool the data center. The power consumption of IT equipment is also growing rapidly. According to Seed Consulting statistics, China's data center energy consumption in 2019, about 43% is used for cooling IT equipment. That's roughly the same as 45% of IT equipment's own energy consumption. It can be seen that the power consumption of heat dissipation is reduced to control data center operating costs. It is imperative to reduce energy consumption in order to build green data centers. As the power density of a single cabinet increases, traditional air cooling can no longer meet the demand for heat dissipation. Liquid cooling technology came into being. What does liquid cooling mean? Liquid cooling refers to the use of liquid instead of air as a refrigerant, technology for heat transfer and heat removal for heating electronic components. Click to learn the difference and connection between liquid cooling and water cooling. The liquid cooling server refers to the injection of liquid into the server, a server that removes heat from the server through heat and cold exchange. History of liquid cooling development at home and abroad. Laboratory stage and prototype stage. The development of liquid cooling in China is basically synchronized with that of foreign countries, and accumulated more advanced experience in the scale application of liquid cooling. How is liquid cooling heat classified? In general, the industry divides liquid cooling into direct cooling and indirect cooling. At present, direct cooling is mainly based on submerged liquid cooling technology. Immersion can also be divided into phase transition and non-phase transition two kinds. Indirect cooling is mainly submerged liquid cooling by cold plate liquid cooling technology. Immerse the heating element directly in the coolant. It is carried away by the circulation of the liquid. Heat generated by the running of devices such as servers. Submerged liquid cooling is a typical direct contact type of liquid cooling, because the heating element is in direct contact with the coolant. Higher heat dissipation efficiency and lower noise can solve the problem of preventing high heat. Submerged liquid cooling technology schematic diagram. The entire submerged liquid cooling system can be divided into two parts: indoor side circulation and outdoor side circulation. During the indoor side circulation, the coolant exchanges heat with the heating device in the closed chamber. The coolant absorbs the heat of the heating device and heats up. Boiling forms a coolant gas. Coolant gas in liquid-cooled heat transfer module. CDM. Heat exchange is carried out between the low-temperature water in the middle and the outdoor side. After two processes of condensation and cooling, it becomes a cryogenic coolant. Re-input into the closed chamber to form a circulation. Heat inside circulation of phase change submerged liquid cooling. The transfer is mainly achieved through the phase transition of the coolant. In the outdoor side circulation, the cryogenic water absorbs the gaseous state in the liquid-cooled heat exchange module. Much of the heat carried by the coolant becomes hot water. The circulating water pump is fed to the outdoor cooling tower. In the cooling tower, the high-temperature water exchanges heat with the atmosphere. The released heat becomes low-temperature water and then enters the pump from the outdoor side. It is transferred to CDM for heat exchange with gaseous coolant. Complete the outdoor side cycle. Heat transfer in the outdoor side circulation. It is mainly achieved by the rise and fall of the water temperature. Submerged liquid cooling can be divided into two-phase liquid cooling and single-phase liquid cooling. The heat dissipation method can be in the form of dry cooler and cooling tower. The phase transition of the two-phase liquid-cooled coolant occurs in the circulating heat dissipation. The heat transfer efficiency of two-phase liquid cooling is higher, but the control is relatively complicated. Pressure changes during a phase transition. High requirements on containers coolant is susceptible to contamination during use. Single-phase liquid cooling. The coolant remains liquid throughout the circulating heat dissipation process. No phase change occurs, so a higher boiling point of the coolant is required. In this way, the control of volatilization loss of coolant is relatively simple. Good compatibility with components of IT equipment, but its efficiency is lower than that of two-phase liquid cooling. A dry cooler or cooling tower can be used to dissipate heat according to the actual application scenario. Cold plate liquid cooling. Fix the liquid cold plate on the main heating device of the server. The heat is carried away by the liquid flowing through the cold plate to achieve the purpose of heat dissipation. The cold plate liquid cooling solves the heat dissipation of the large heat-generating devices in the server. Other cooling devices also rely on air cooling, so the use of cold plate liquid cooling server, also known as gas liquid dual-channel server. The liquid of the cold plate does not contact the device being cooled. In the middle of the heat transfer plate, heat transfer safety high-spray type liquid cooling. Store liquid and open holes in the top of the case, according to the location of the heating body and the size of the heat. Let the coolant spray the heating body to achieve the purpose of cooling the equipment. The spray liquid and the cooling device are in direct contact with high cooling efficiency, but the liquid is encountered in the process of spraying. Hot objects will drift and evaporate. Droplets and gases are released to the outside of the chassis through the holes in the chassis. The cleanliness of the equipment room may deteriorate or other devices may be affected.